which is an architectural salvage yard run by a guy called John. I've never been to their salvage yard, never been.
You know him as a charismatic antique dealer with an eye for treasure and a passion for history. For years, Drew Pritchard has been the face of salvage hunters, traveling across Britain and beyond to discover hidden gems and forgotten places. His infectious enthusiasm and deep knowledge have made him a beloved figure to millions of viewers around the world. But behind the cameras and the carefully restored treasures lies a story filled with heartbreak, personal struggles, and moments that would test anyone's strength. Today, we're going to talk about the tragic events that have shaped Drew Pritchard's life, the pain he's endured, and how he's managed to keep moving forward despite everything that's happened. This isn't just another celebrity story. This is about a real person who has faced real hardships, and his journey might just surprise you. Before we dive into the darker chapters of Drew's life, let's talk about how he became the man we all know today. Drew Pritchard wasn't born into wealth or handed success on a silver platter. He grew up in North Wales, in a town called Conwy, which is famous for its medieval castle and rich history. From a very young age, Drew was fascinated by old things. While other kids his age were playing video games or watching cartoons, young Drew was exploring old buildings, admiring vintage cars, and asking questions about the stories behind antique objects. His father was a big influence on him, teaching him about craftsmanship and the value of quality work. This early exposure to history and craftsmanship planted the seeds for what would become Drew's lifelong passion. As a teenager, Drew didn't follow the traditional path that most people expected. He didn't go to university or pursue a conventional career. Instead, he started working with his hands, learning restoration skills and developing an incredible eye for spotting valuable items that others would simply walk past. He opened his first antique shop when he was still quite young, and people quickly noticed that he had something special. He wasn't just selling old furniture and decorative pieces. He was selling stories, history, and pieces of the past that connected people to different eras and different lives. His business grew steadily, and his reputation as a knowledgeable and trustworthy dealer spread throughout the antiques community. In 2011, everything changed for Drew when he got the opportunity to star in a new television show called Salvage Hunters. The concept was simple but brilliant. Each episode would follow Drew as he traveled to various locations, from grand country estates to cluttered barns and forgotten warehouses, searching for antiques and architectural salvage that he could restore and sell in his shop. The show was an instant hit. Viewers loved Drew's genuine passion, his quirky personality, and the way he could look at a rusty old sign or a damaged piece of furniture and see its potential. He had a gift for explaining the history behind each item in a way that made even the most casual viewer feel excited about antiques. The show has now been running for over a decade, with numerous seasons and episodes that have taken Drew all over the United Kingdom and even other countries. But while his professional life was flourishing and his television career was bringing him fame and recognition, Drew's personal life was about to take a devastating turn. In 2015, Drew's marriage to his wife Rebecca came to a painful end. Now, divorces happen all the time, and many people go through the heartbreak of a relationship ending. But what made Drew's situation particularly difficult was the very public nature of his life. When you're a television personality with millions of viewers watching your show every week, your private struggles don't stay private for very long. The media attention surrounding his divorce was intense, and Drew found himself dealing with the emotional pain of losing his marriage while also having to face constant questions and speculation from the press and the public. Rebecca had been a significant part of Drew's life for many years. She had supported his business ventures and had been there during the early days when he was building his reputation as an antique dealer. They had shared dreams, built a life together, and created memories that couldn't simply be erased. The end of their marriage wasn't just about signing papers and dividing possessions. It was about grieving the loss of a partnership, dealing with feelings of failure, and trying to figure out how to move forward when everything you thought was solid suddenly crumbles beneath your feet. Drew has rarely spoken publicly about the specific details of what led to their divorce, choosing to keep those personal matters private, which shows a level of dignity and respect that not everyone maintains during such difficult times. What made matters even more complicated was the fact that their divorce wasn't a quiet, amicable separation. There were legal proceedings, financial discussions, and all the messy complications that can arise when a marriage ends. Drew had to continue working, continue filming Salvage Hunters, and continue being the enthusiastic, knowledgeable host that viewers expected, all while dealing with the emotional turmoil of his personal life falling apart. Imagine having put on a smile and talk about the beauty of a Victorian chandelier or the craftsmanship of an 18th century table when your heart is breaking. That takes an incredible amount of strength and professionalism, and it's something that Drew somehow managed to do. But the tragedy didn't stop with the divorce. In 2017, something happened that would change Drew's life in an even more dramatic and public way. Drew was involved in an incident at a pub in North Wales that resulted in him being physically assaulted. The attack happened at the Liverpool Arms, a pub in the town of Conwy, where Drew had lived for most of his life. According to reports, Drew was assaulted by the husband of a woman with whom Drew had been having a relationship. The situation was messy and complicated, and it quickly became front-page news in the local and national media. The man who attacked Drew was Janice Thomas, and the assault was serious enough that it resulted in legal action. Thomas was eventually charged and faced consequences for his actions. But for Drew, the damage was done. He had been physically hurt, publicly humiliated, and thrust into a scandal that he never wanted or asked for. The incident raised questions about his personal life, his relationships, and his judgment. People who had only known Drew as the friendly antique dealer from television were suddenly reading headlines about bar fights and relationship drama. It was a far cry from the image of the thoughtful, knowledgeable expert that Salvage Hunters had presented for years. What many people don't realize is how much something like this can affect a person's mental health and overall well-being. Drew wasn't just dealing with physical injuries from the assault. He was dealing with the psychological impact of being attacked, the embarrassment of having his private life exposed in such a brutal way, and the fear that this incident would destroy everything he had worked so hard to build. His reputation, his business, his television career, and his standing in the community where he had lived his entire life were all suddenly at risk. The stress and anxiety of going through something like that is almost unimaginable for those of us who have never experienced it. Following the assault, Drew had to make some difficult decisions about his safety and his living situation. The incident had happened in his hometown, a place where he had spent his whole life and where he had built his business. But after the attack, Drew no longer felt safe there. He made the heartbreaking decision to leave Conwy, the town that had been his home for decades. He sold his beloved shop, the place where he had spent countless hours curating collections and meeting with customers who shared his passion for antiques. It wasn't just a business decision. It was about protecting himself and creating distance from a situation that had become unbearable. Leaving Conwy meant leaving behind more than just a building or a location. It meant leaving behind memories, relationships, and a sense of belonging that Drew had cultivated over many years. The town had been his base, the place where everyone knew him, and where he had established himself as a respected member of the community. Walking away from all of that because of circumstances beyond his control must have felt like losing another piece of his life, another tragedy added to the growing list of hardships he had endured. Throughout all of these difficulties, Drew somehow managed to keep Salvage Hunters going. The show continued to be produced and aired, and Drew continued to appear in each episode with the same enthusiasm and knowledge that viewers had come to expect. This is a testament to his professionalism and his dedication to his craft. Many people in his situation would have stepped away from the public eye, taken time off to heal and recover, and possibly never returned to television. But Drew understood that the show wasn't just about him. It was about the team of people who worked on the production, the viewers who loved watching it, and the preservation of history and craftsmanship that the show promoted. He pushed through his personal pain and continued to do what he loved. However, anyone watching closely could sometimes see hints of the strain he was under. There were moments in episodes filmed during this difficult period where Drew seemed a bit more tired, a bit less animated, or where his usual spark seemed dim just slightly. These were subtle changes that casual viewers might not notice. But for those who had been watching the show for years and had come to know Drew's personality, these small shifts were noticeable. It's a reminder that even when people seem to be doing fine on the outside, they may be struggling tremendously on the inside. Drew's story also highlights the challenges of being a public figure in the age of social media and instant news. Every detail of his personal struggles was discussed online, debated in forums, and dissected by people who had never met him but felt entitled to judge his choices and his character. The internet can be a cruel place, and Drew had to deal with negative comments, harsh judgments, and people spreading rumors or exaggerating the facts of what had happened. This kind of public scrutiny adds another layer of difficulty to an already painful situation. It's hard enough to go through a divorce or to recover from an assault when you have privacy and support. It's exponentially harder when every detail is being discussed by strangers online. Despite everything, Drew has shown remarkable resilience. He relocated his business operations, continued filming new seasons of Salvage Hunters, and gradually began to rebuild his life. He has remained passionate about antiques and architectural salvage, and his expertise and enthusiasm have not diminished. If anything, going through such difficult experiences has perhaps given him a deeper appreciation for things that truly matter. Antiques, after all, are objects that have survived through time, that have endured their own journeys and traumas, and that carry the marks of their history. In some ways, Drew's connection to these objects may have deepened as he's endured his own difficult journey. One of the most admirable things about Drew is that he has generally refused to play the victim or to use his personal tragedies as a way to gain sympathy or attention. He has continued to focus on his work, on the show, and on the positive aspects of what he does. He hasn't spent time on social media complaining about his hardships or seeking validation from strangers. Instead, he has quietly picked up the pieces, moved forward, and continued to do what he loves. This kind of dignified approach to handling adversity is rare and worthy of respect. It's also worth noting that Drew's struggles have humanized him in the eyes of many viewers. Before the public became aware of his personal challenges, Drew was seen primarily as a talented antique dealer and television personality. But learning about the difficulties he has faced has reminded people that celebrities and public figures are real human beings with real problems, real emotions, and real struggles. This has actually strengthened the connection between Drew and his audience in many ways. People admire his strength, his resilience, and his ability to keep going despite everything that has happened. The lessons from Drew Pritchard's story are universal and powerful. Life doesn't always go according to plan, no matter how successful you might be in your career or how much you might love what you do. Tragedy can strike anyone at any time, and when it does, the only choice is to decide how you're going to respond. Drew chose to keep moving forward, to continue pursuing his passion, and to rebuild his life even when it would have been easier to give up. That's not just inspiring for fans of Salvage Hunters. That's inspiring for anyone who has ever faced difficult circumstances and wondered if they had the strength to continue. As Drew continues his work and Salvage Hunters continues to air new episodes, there's a bittersweet quality to watching the show now. Viewers who are aware of what Drew has been through can't help but see him in a different light. When he gets excited about discovering a rare piece of furniture, or when he carefully explains the history behind an architectural salvage item, there's an added depth to those moments. This is a man who has been through tremendous pain and loss, yet he still finds joy and meaning in his work. He still gets excited about the past, about craftsmanship, about the stories that objects can tell. That ability to find beauty and purpose even after experiencing tragedy is perhaps the most remarkable thing about Drew Pritchard. Drew's story also serves as a reminder about the importance of mental health and seeking support during difficult times. While he's kept many details private, it's clear that dealing with divorce, assault, and the loss of his home and business location would take a significant emotional toll on anyone. The fact that he has continued to function, to work, and to maintain his professional commitments suggests that he has found ways to cope with these challenges, whether through the support of friends and family, professional help, or his own inner strength and determination. Looking at where Drew is today, it's clear that while the tragedies he has experienced have changed him, they have not defeated him. He continues to be one of the most respected figures in the antiques world, and Salvage Hunters remains a popular and successful television show. He has adapted to his new circumstances, found new ways to run his business, and continued to share his passion and knowledge with viewers around the world. The road has been difficult, and the scars of what he's been through will likely always be with him, but Drew Pritchard has proven himself to be a survivor. As we come to the end of this story, it's important to remember that Drew's journey isn't just about tragedy. It's also about resilience, about the human capacity to endure and overcome, and about finding meaning and purpose even in the darkest times. Drew Pritchard has faced more than his share of heartbreak and hardship, but has continued to pursue his passion, to share his knowledge, and to bring joy to millions of viewers who love watching him discover hidden treasures and bring forgotten pieces of history back to life. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for taking the time to learn about the real story behind Drew Pritchard and the challenges he has faced. It's easy to watch someone on television and forget that they're a real person with real struggles. Drew's story is a powerful reminder that everyone has their battles, their tragedies, and their moments of pain. What matters is how we respond to those challenges and whether we can find the strength to keep moving forward. If this video opened your eyes to a side of Drew Pritchard you never knew about, or if his story of resilience inspired you in any way, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It helps the video reach more people who might also benefit from hearing this story. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss future videos where we dive deep into the untold stories of your favorite television personalities and celebrities. Share this video with friends or family members who love salvage hunters or who might be going through their own difficult times and could use a reminder that it's possible to overcome tragedy and keep moving forward. Your support means everything and helps this channel continue to bring you meaningful, well-researched content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.